Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtoro.com. I'm here with the man of the hour, Andy Schectman of Miles Franklin. If you want your silver, you know where to get it. Andy at milesfranklin.com. Andy, how's life in the physical world of silver?
It's been crazy, Bix. It's been the craziest year that I can ever remember. People have their own words for what 2020 has been. You ask my kids, they'll have a four letter expletive, what it means to them. But to me, it's been a great awakening. It's been the year of the great awakening, and um, the amount of demand in this industry is unlike anything I've ever seen in 30 years of owning Miles Franklin, of being in the industry. It differentiates anything I've ever seen. We have done 4 years worth of business in 6 months. And I'm not joking, really 4 years worth of business in 6 months. So, and I think we're in the eye of the storm right now, Bix. I think the trailing edge is not far behind. So it could be certainly a very interesting second half of the year, no question about it.
Well, it makes me happy to hear that at least the Road to Ruta followers are keeping you busy, which is really good. And I tend to deal mainly or analyze mainly the COMEX, the paper markets, because that's where the price is set for silver. There really is no exchange other than the LBMA, which nobody even knows what's going on there. Obviously, they're not transferring all that physical silver. So I know a lot of people want to know what's the story with physical. I hear the U.S. Mint has decided to curtail again. What's going on with premiums? How's availability? How's shipment? Why don't you give us an update on kind of where we are from the physical aspect of it?
I will do that. Before I do that, I just want to give you a little kudos. For a while, you've been telling people to trade their gold into silver. And at the first half of the year, people may have said, well, geez, gold's really taken off. Silver's not following behind. But you can see the power of what silver can do when it's set free, at least a semblance of freedom. When those indictments came down in March on JP Morgan, and became really public knowledge, and they had to get in line with position limits, silver was at $11.80 at its low point. Here we are almost at 25, and you saw a double like that. Everything you said made great sense, and sometimes you have to have strong fingertips and hang on, and thank you for trusting your conviction. Everyone who did that certainly owes you a debt of gratitude. Now, as far as where we are right now, let's go back to the beginning of the year, Bix. First of all, we had 65% of all the silver mines closed at the beginning of the year. All of the refineries in Europe are in Switzerland, and they border Italy. They were closed the first half of the year. The mints were also closed, the US and the Canadian mint a few times, and certainly bad production the first half of the year. The US Mint just came out last Tuesday with a phone call saying that due to COVID, they're not able to produce both gold and silver at the same time. They're gonna have to choose one between the other. All that's basically saying is you add it all up, you have a gummed up supply chain from 6 months worth of closures from the ground to the refinery to the mint. And now you have the biggest supply chain in North America saying, well, whatever we feel like making this month, we'll make. And they said that's going to be for 12 to 18 months. If that doesn't tell you what the future holds for supply, mind you, the Canadian Mint's been doing the same thing. They focused only on gold and silver maple leafs, really haven't been making anything in the way of bars or any of their other items that we've been used to getting. So I have gone on record lately on many occasions and said a couple of things. Number one, that I've been instructing our operations to buy everything that's not nailed down, everything, because I think the trailing edge of the storm is going to be one badass storm. And number two, that this market will define itself in two ways. One, by the people who have been listening to you but never listening to you, hearing you but not listening, or listening but not hearing, okay? Yeah, I should have bought that, but damn it, it got too expensive. It's too late. Those people will identify the market by it got too expensive. The people who have listened to you, who have heard you and have acted and want to get more will see, geez, those premiums are ridiculous, but I got to buy more. But it's hard to find. In other words, they're going to identify the market by an inability to source product because the supply chain is gummed up. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better soon, a la the US and the Canadian Mint. And remember what I said about the Great Awakening. We have over 2,000 new clients since March. That's unheard of. That's 4 years worth of new clients since March. Most of them never held a gold or silver coin before, buying because there's nowhere else to go. The bond market, which would have used to be the second stop or the first stop after they leave the stock market, 5.59%, under 0.6% on a 10-year note, negative real interest rates. That's not happening. So they're coming here and they're buying up all the silver that they can find at a period of time when the supply chain is busted and the prospects of it getting better anytime soon, next 18 months, according to the US Mint, ain't happening. So yeah, I think it's a crazy time, and premiums will only go higher. They were the highest I've ever seen in March. It came down with hope springing eternal into the summer and the reopening of the economy. And now, as the price is cutting through like a hot knife through butter, through these round numbers, it was 18 last Thursday. Here we are at 25 and change. People are jumping on board, and it's just disappearing like that. And you know, one last thing, and then I'll shut up and listen to you for a minute. But they say there's no bull market now. I'm going to say gold, but I mean silver too. The saying is there's no bull market like a gold bull market for one reason. All the other markets speak to our desire to make money. They say that speaks to our greed mentality. And we're motivated by greed and fear. The higher the price goes in a gold bull market only reinforces our concern, our fear, our concern about what's happening, and strengthens our grip on the coins and the bars that we own and no one sells. Through all of this business we've done, Bix, there's been less than 20 people, 20 that have sold anything in the last 7 months. No one sells anything, and when they do, they're wholly apologetic for it. It's strange, but all I can simply say is that there's no secondary market product. And so when the mints run out of product, or the borders get shut down, or the US Mint declares, well, we're not going to make silver eagles for the next 3 months, that's it. It's game over. So yeah, I think this is an interesting time. Maybe the opportunity and the crossroads of a generation, as a matter of fact.
That is perfectly well said, and I agree 100%. And you know, it's interesting. I remember my first silver purchases, physical silver purchases, where you go. Buying silver and gold is completely different than buying a stock or a bond.
Yeah.
When you're in the stock market, you sit there on your computer and you do a money transfer maybe, and you're still sitting there on your computer. When you're buying physical metal, it takes actually going out and doing something, and making the order and getting your shipment and figuring out where to store it and making sure you got the right thing and taking delivery, carrying these huge boxes of silver because you're so rich, you're buying all this silver. It is completely different than sitting down, clicking a mouse that you're going to buy some Apple stock. But it also, it feels different in that you feel like, and you are correct in your feelings, that you own something of tangible value. You are the only one in the world who is holding that piece of metal, and you know it's yours. I don't care who has a claim on it, wherever it is. It doesn't matter. I have the metal in my possession. And it's such a different feeling, that kind of investing, versus pulling out your Charles Schwab statement and saying, here's how rich I am. You can pull out bars of gold and silver and say, here's where my wealth lies, in this solid foundation. It's a great feeling. And guys like you are the guys who help facilitate it for all the newbies. And I want to thank you for helping all the Road to Ruta people out, because I've sent so many people your way lately. You know, we struck up a conversation. You said, hey, this was like, what was it, 6 months ago? You said, now's the time to get it. I'm gonna set up your following to get them the best prices possible. And it's someone you can trust. And I've been screaming about, call it or send Andy an email, Andy@Miles Franklin. I've been screaming that on my channel for so long, and I want to thank you for that.
You see these bags under my eyes? That's all courtesy of you, Bix, and God bless you. I do appreciate it, and I will continue to offer your listeners the lowest price in the country, and our relationship means the world to me. And trust is the cornerstone of my business and of the way that I operate, and so I take that very seriously and hold your reputation in the highest regards. Just one other thing about what you said. Two things. Number one, not only does it feel that way when you hold it, it also it's almost always the last thing people hang on to. In other words, they hold it. It represents savings, because it's not like clicking a mouse to sell it. You got to box it up. You got to go to the post office, send it off. And for that reason, people have stronger fingertips with their metal holdings. And number two, when you talk about passing money on to future generations, there are very few things that have both sentimental and intrinsic value. If someone leaves you money in your bank account, your grandparents or your parents, that's money. There's no sentimental value. But someone leaves you a box of gold coins that dad spent and silver coins that dad spent a lot of time accumulating, that has sentimental value. And you think twice before you box that stuff up, knowing that mom and dad touched these. You don't box it up as quickly. It is the best way to quietly, outside of probate, pass money on to future generations. So it's dual faceted that way. But yeah, I am eager to continue to help your listeners. I will offer them the finest price in the country, the lowest price. Remember, we're licensed, we're bonded, we're background checked, but we're not online. We are a old-fashioned company who prefers to be analog in a digital age, in an age of sophisticated computer hacking and identity theft. We choose to take a different road, the road to Ruta, and one that is done by relationships and personal communication rather than clicking a mouse and risking clients' identity and compromising their privacy. So that's why they have to send me an email, and either myself personally, as many of your listeners will tell you, or one of my brokers will get back to them. And there is the one occasion or two where we miss one. And yesterday you emailed me and said this person was looking for you. I called them right back. Attentiveness, accessibility is very important to me, Bix, and I'll always continue to offer that for your listeners. Absolutely.
And this is why, I mean, my first suggestion is always, hey, make relationships with your local coin shop, get to know the guys. But if you don't have a local coin shop, or your local coin guy's an asshole, which many of them are, I wanted to get my Road to Ruta followers in touch with you because I know we've been working together for I don't know how long. You've been in the industry forever. You have a great reputation. And I am a big advocate of buying what people have in inventory so that it gets shipped right away. I don't trust that the system can stay, especially at this point in time, the system can stay together. I know a lot of people who call me and say, hey, Bix, I ordered this amount of silver from XYZ online company. It looked great on their website. And then I ordered, they said it would be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then it's been 4 weeks and I haven't got it. That is a very scary time. You want to know who you're dealing with. You want to vet the person. I've vetted you many times, personally and non-personally. Mm-hmm. And absolutely, now is the time you got to be safe about who you order your silver from. We go back a long time in the silver industry, and we've seen people collapse that you thought would never collapse. Guys like Tulving out of was he San Diego? He was pumping out so much silver out of that warehouse, and all of a sudden one day it was over. That's the thing you got to be careful of, and I highly recommend working with Andy at Miles Franklin on that.
I would like to address one issue, and that is what you just said, and it's very important. Let me just explain how it normally works. It's important because I ran into this problem myself in March. Normally, I will place an order with the U.S. Mint or the Canadian Mint, and within a week, it's on a truck on its way to my warehouse. When I place that order, I pay up front for it. In my world, that's always been paid for in inventory because they are like clockwork until they're not. And we saw in March that they were not. So in both cases of the US and the Canadian Mint, I had placed large orders. I had paid for the product. The product was ready to be shipped, and they shut the doors on the Mint. And now my product, which I paid for, was sitting on the Mint floor. And there is a small portion of people who I had to explain this to. I've learned from that lesson, and I have accumulated a tremendous in-stock inventory right now because I do not want to be caught with my pants down this fall, because I know it's coming. I know the second wave of this insanity is coming as we approach the election. And if I'm wrong, I hope to God I am, then I'm stuck with a bunch of inventory that I'll slowly sell. But if I'm right, I think it will define the marketplace. And all it takes is one more event, whatever that event is. God knows all the events that have happened have shocked us all.
I got a list of about 10 other events that are coming. So,
well, and when one of them does, the whole supply chain goes belly up. And the amount of people that are trying to shove their way through that one door is creating big problems. So I've loaded up. Now, I do have product coming from the US Mint. I will tell people that up front. I've already paid for it, but what is the US Mint doing? They're not delivering like they're supposed to. There were no allocations of Silver Eagles last week. What? And then they have the call that, well, we're going to have to decide between the two. So I want to tell another story real quick. And this better wake up your listeners, because this is, so help me to heaven, this is the true story. And in all my years, I never would have thought this was possible. I was on a walk the other day with a buddy of mine, and I get a phone call from one of my largest clients. He's an accountant. And he says, I'm going to refer to you a very large client of mine. He wants to buy an awful lot of gold. So he called. The client called while I'm still on the walk. He says, I want to buy 3,000 ounces of American Eagles in mint boxes. I said, wow, okay, let me, this is gold, American Eagles, mind you. So you're talking almost $6 million. I said, okay, let me make a few phone calls, because I don't have 3,000 gold Eagles sitting in my warehouse. I have maybe 500, but not 3,000.
Nobody does except potentially the Mint. And obviously they don't have anything right now.
Well, get this. So I call the two largest distributors of gold in North America, if not the world. One on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. The one on the East Coast is probably the biggest. And they said to me, won't take the order. What? He said, I'll do it in kangaroos. I have them on the floor. Will not take the order for 3,000 gold maple leafs. This is a primary United States distributor. And basically said to me, I don't trust a word that comes out of the US Mint. I do not want to be left short on these and freak out your client. When I called the would not take the order, wouldn't take it. $6 million order, no. The one on the West Coast said, I can do it, but the cost to your client's going to be north of 6%, and they'll all be back dates. It will take me 2 weeks to get it for you. So they have the back dates somehow. They have no new ones. So these are primary US Mint distributors. I'm a tier below that as an authorized reseller. They're the primary distributors who are forced to take allocations, and neither of them can fill a $6 million order of gold Eagles. Now ask yourself, is $6 million a lot of money when we talk about the stock market and the bond market? Or are we talking a fragile market? And the silver market's even more fragile than the gold market. That's why I truly believe, Bix, that the market will identify itself by no product. That's why you've always talked to some degree about if it's not in your possession, you don't own it. And it's true. No counterparty risk is the best counterparty risk. And so as it pertains to getting product, honest to God, I'm afraid that it will define this market before year's end. So for those of your listeners who are sitting on the fence, send me an email at Andy@MilesFranklin. You'll get the best price on your silver. I'll tell you what's in stock. If it's not in stock, I'll be straight with you and tell you when I expect it. And then you can make a decision up for yourself. And we'll make sure that you get the best price in the country and the best service, either by myself personally or someone who's trusted in my firm who's been there for a long time.
That is the best offer that anybody could get right now, if you ask me. I mean, and if for some reason Andy or his people don't get back to you, you can always send me an email, and I love to hound him. It rarely ever happens. Yeah. But I mean, I can't tell you how many emails I have.
Twice I can remember, and I got back to those people so fast it was insane, and then back to you. It happens where we're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 emails a day. It's insanity.
I agree, and I will tell you right now, 99.99% of the time I hear about anything about you personally and your company has been extremely glowing remarks. It reminds me of like my friend Will Lair at Perpetual Assets to set up your IRA account, self-directed. Nothing but glowing assets, glowing recommendations and experiences, and they share everything with me. You can't get away from anything you do, Andy. I'm always watching because I got my Road to Ruta people on you, and they say great things about you.
That's what I tell my brokers. I say, this is a rare opportunity to be associated with a leader in the industry, and you can't screw this up because their people have voices, and you want to find yourself at the bottom of the comment section of one of your videos in a nasty way. You don't want that. So I really hope that all of my brokers and myself are living up to those expectations. And if not, let us know. I'll handle it. I've always thought that, people make mistakes, myself included. Uh, my wife will tell you that is for sure. But a person is defined by the way that they make up for the mistake. Accept it, own it, and make good by it. And I always will. So if we make a mistake, I'll fix it. Hopefully we don't. But certainly our fact that we've never had a customer complaint in 30 years is a testament to how important that is to me. And it is very much so. So it's an honor to be associated with you and your listeners. And let me tell you, you got a lot of them, and they sure all speak highly of you. So keep doing what you're doing, Bix. You're helping us all as well. And I use a lot of what you say in my presentations and in my speaking and in my daily phone calls with everyone, because you're doing all the hard work, all the research. The rest of us are doing our other things. So we all rely on you, myself included.
Well, thank you very much, Andy. And everybody, hey, if you want to buy some physical silver, my advice is don't wait. Don't wait. Who knows what the hell is going to go on with the price between now and the end of the year?
And the
You're on the road to
availability.
Ruta. Go ahead.
And the availability.
Yeah, well, especially the availability too. You might see a a $25 Comex price, but you can't get anything for under $50 at some point.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
we all know they don't trade the real thing on these exchanges. Andy, I want to thank you very much for spending the time. One more time, give out your email, and that's how you get in touch with Andy if you want to buy some metal. I'll give it out. Andy, A-N-D-Y, at Miles Franklin, MILESFRANKLIN.com. Send him an email, and he will walk you through purchasing heavy, heavy, heavy amounts of physical silver in your own possession. Thank you, Andy, for spending the time with us.
Bix, I appreciate you, brother. And one last thing, and I promise I'll let you go. What you just said about not trading the real thing, and not only that, the people in the other category, which is typically the family offices and the super high net wealth individuals and the funds, they're standing for delivery to get the real thing so the rest of them can play make-believe. And very soon, if not already, that has changed the landscape of this industry. The fact that you see all these people standing for delivery on the COMEX, and when the next 2 delivery months in gold and silver, August, September, it's going to be nuts, Bix, and that's when you're going to see fireworks. So thank you for your confidence in me, and you're right, people should act now before the COMEX blows up or it's exposed for what it is, a Ponzi scheme, and everyone runs to get real silver. So I hope to be back and chat with you again before then. If you're ever looking for perspective in this side of the world, let me know. In the meantime, you and yours stay well. And thanks again, buddy.
Okay, thank you. Talk to you later.
See you, Bix.